questions. But first, let me start by telling you how phenomenal you really are. I consider you a beautiful mentor, you know, a wise man, a kind man, a gentleman, a man who does not see this woman who has no correlation to him. I don't work with you. I don't work for you. I don't do any of your work. And you've taken me under your wing and guided me along the way. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think you are a blessing from God.
Well, it's very nice to hear you say that. I have to say my own view is that I'm a much more ordinary person than the person you described. I have had a good fortune at Duke to meet a lot of interesting and wonderful people. You're one of them. But Duke has got a lot of good people and quite a diversity of people that are good people. So it's fun to know.
Absolutely. That's why I'm just so glad that you're a part of my family, and I'm glad that you're there. I was so excited when you and your wife came to celebrate my 60th birthday. That was just so much fun. You know,
it was a great party.
Yeah, to have you there, and some of our other events you've come to. So I'm really, really grateful to that. And hopefully, God willing, we will get over COVID and we can interact with each other again.
I hope so.
Yes.
I think COVID is, when you see the intensity of effort that's going into finding things to deal with COVID from our scientific colleagues. I mean, there are a lot of them that are working on this. So you just have to be optimistic that something good is going to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to start just the way I start most. I'm going to ask you to tell us your name and tell us as much about you as you wish so we can get to know you a little bit. So please.
Okay, so my name is Roger Barr. My middle name is Coke, which is an unusual name, but I was named for my father, who was named Coke, and he was named for his father, who was named Coke. And I think somewhere back there, somebody in the family admired the guy who was the first Methodist bishop in the what became the United States. I don't think we're related to him. I think that's just a family somewhere back there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I came to Duke. Probably, I was encouraged by my family. I came, some kind person in admissions said that I should be able to come. So I came as an undergraduate. It was eye-opening for me. It was a whole new world that I had never experienced as an undergraduate or as a high school student.
Mm-hmm.
And I had ups and downs, as do most all undergraduates, but I graduated, went back to Florida, where all my family lived and where I expected to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And then my undergraduate roommate called me up one day and said, come back up to Duke. I have a project here I'm working on. They'll hire you too, and then we'll work on it together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did, and we did. And then the project wasn't quite over at the end of the summer, so they said, stay on for a little longer. You don't have to go back to Florida right now. So I did. And one thing led to another, and eventually the BME department was formed. That was much less dramatic than you might think. It was sort of just collecting all the people that were working on biomedical projects, writing their names down on a piece of paper. That was the BME department. So I became a part of it when it was formed. And I've been here, you might say, on temporary duty ever since. I've always felt like I was going back to Florida, but just never have.
Haven't gotten there yet, huh?
Haven't gotten there yet. Still thinking about it, but not there yet.
Not there yet. Can you tell us what BME stands for?
BME stands for Biomedical Engineering. And loosely speaking, it is sort of where the hard sciences cross over and meet physiology, but especially medicine. And it is a subject that has a long history academically, but a very short history as academic departments. I mean, there are not very many, and they mostly have been formed in those few sites where there's an engineering school and a medical school on the same campus, which is actually not many places.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you remember how we met?
Well, I was thinking about that, and I wasn't absolutely sure, but I thought it was in the first Coursera courses when they were being being assembled by higher powers,
Yeah.
and I was tapped to teach one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And you and I worked together to at least get you started. And then I think from then on, you were able to soar perfectly well by yourself without my help at all.
Well, you know, interestingly, those videos that we made in that summer, people ask, is there some course we can teach during this summer right now?
Right.
And I said, well, actually, I have a really good course that's already been recorded,
Uh-huh.
thinking of those videos. So
Uh-huh.
that course is going to be in summer session too. And the
Excellent.
product of your work will be, and mine and everybody else that worked on it, once again going to find a new and different venue.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's very good to hear. If there's any money, send a little bit over here to me too.
Yes, I will. I always, you know, people ask me about that, and I said, well, when I got started on this, I said, if I ever make $1 off of it, it'll be a miracle.
It'll be a miracle. Yes.
And I'm still looking for that dollar.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when Duke first started with Coursera, though, they were paying faculty to teach these courses. I think they had gotten a grant, $1 million or $2 million grant, and from that they were paying faculty. But as it has evolved, many of the faculty now who teach them teach for the joy of teaching, not to receive any money or any kind of prestige, if you will. So
Yeah, yeah, you know what happened on that was that the first round of courses, which was the round I was in, you were working with me in that round. We didn't get any money.
right,
But that round was so good
right,
that they applied for money and they got it. So then the people in the second round were the beneficiaries.
yeah,
But that's how things work sometimes. So it's
yeah,
okay.
it's okay. And what do you do in BME? Are you a research professor? Or are you a POPs? Can you describe what your role is in BME?
Yeah, I'm a regular professor. I'd say I was hired originally because of research projects I was working on, and I still do research projects and have ever since. But probably more at the present time, my time goes into teaching more than it does into research. I teach mainly graduate students,
Mhm.
mainly those that are in their first or second year of graduate study. But sometimes I teach undergraduates, like this summer. It'll be a course of an undergraduate course.
Absolutely wonderful. And BME is housed under the Pratt umbrella.
BME is under the Pratt umbrella, more or less. The BME was started by the medical school and the engineering school as a joint activity.
Mhm.
It still is a joint activity. A lot of the faculty in BME have appointments also in the medical center. A
Mhm.
lot of the work that's done in BME finds application in the medical center. So it's sort of on both sides of the street.
Yeah,
And literally, I mean, people walk back and forth across the street.
right, exactly. So let me ask you this: what is the racial makeup of Pratt in terms of faculty diversity, gender? Do you know?
Somebody compiles those numbers, but I don't know.
Okay.
Now, there, I mean, everybody is in Pratt. You'd say black, white, Latino, whatever background, but the largest number of people who are faculty are, you might say, the traditional white population,
Mhm.
which is also the majority population in engineering nationally.
Right.
Now, of course, things are changing. In the last few years, quite a few people have been added who are not from that traditional background, especially women,
Mhm.
because the reason for that is there are, if you're on a search committee, you find a good number of really outstanding women who have recently graduated and who apply,
Mhm.
because more than half of the PhD students in engineering now are women. So they're naturally more than half of the graduates. The number in any other demographic category is still very small.
Right.
So it's just not very many candidates for the positions that are available. Now, among the students, a little bit more mixed, but we'll see.
Why do you think it is that way? Why do you think is it just been that's the way we've always done it? More white men apply, more white people are more credentialed. Do you think that there's some logic like that, or is it just chance and happenstance?
You know, we have wondered that ourselves, and I don't know the answer. Some people we've talked to have said, look, people decide sort of what kind of career direction they're going to follow when
Hmm.
they're in the middle school.
Hmm.
And then because they have self-selected in middle school, they sort of follow that course pattern as high school students, and then they apply as undergraduates. And, by the time we are hiring people, we're dealing with people who graduated usually from graduate programs. So we're way years and years past when that decision was made. That's not always true. It's some exceptions to that. I mean, and interestingly, some of the exceptions are people who've graduated in African countries, some of whom are really not competitive by U.S. standards, but others are very good.
Yes.
So there's a kind of a importation that's occurring from that direction. But I think it'd be great to have more U.S. students. I wish we could encourage more U.S. students. And if we're doing something to discourage them, I wish we knew what it was so we could stop.
Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense. Um, I remember one of our most recent lunches, we talked about a course I want to teach. And I've been trying to teach this class at Duke now for almost 5 years, and every door I open gets slammed in my face. And everybody I show the course to says, wonderful, we need it. There's never been one person who stood up and said, yes, we're going to help Rochelle take this class. And my most recent experience with the MEPM program, I actually got an email probably about a month ago from someone said, hey, well, we could make it a workshop. And it's really not a workshop. It's not meant to be a workshop. It's meant for students to learn what emerging technologies will do and impact communities, especially communities that are not privileged or have good wealth or education. And I can't find a home for my course, but I want to really salute you for helping me try. You have been a champion all the time, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you. And as you all think about courses, although I don't think it's an ideal fit for Pratt because it's not specifically engineering, it's not biophysics or any of that stuff. It's really more learning how to marry humans with technology in such a way that it is impactful to them, and it is not to their detriment, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, yes. Well, uh, I have talked to people about that, and I think it's a pretty reasonable fit for Pratt, actually. But people have reservations that are mostly along the lines of, do students want to take this? If we offer this course, will we have a sufficient enrollment? And, this is a chicken and egg situation where if you've never offered the course, you have no track record of where people want to do it. Now, it's not this course in particular. I can remember people saying this about BME in engineering. People saying, BME, what is that? Do people really want to do BME? No, they want to do civil engineering. They want to do electrical engineering. They don't want to do BME. So, I mean, people, I guess, are made comfortable by what they know works and what they have experience with. When they don't have experience, it's harder for them to give it a try. But I think your course is going to find a home, and I'm proud of you for staying with it and keep trying.
I absolutely I am, and from your lips to God's ears, I hope that is indeed the case because I've been trying so many times. I've even offered to teach it for free so that they didn't have to have any risk. When I retire, I want to retire a professor. I don't want to be a research professor. I will either want to be a pops or an adjunct professor because I really do believe I have something to offer. I do believe that my education and my experience together are unique, but I think that there are those who do not see the value in my skills because I've not been a faculty member. And I remember something President Barr had said to me when he was there. He said he didn't start out to be the president of the university. He started out to be an English faculty member. That's really what he wanted. He said eventually he was the chair of the department, and eventually he became the president of the university. And what really makes this chat between you and I so important is it simply because I am a Black woman?
Well, I think in relation to the course, that's a qualification, not a limitation. I think the important step that has to be taken is to you might say to for the people who run the course selection to accept that this is a field, a course that they want to have, and that'll be a strength to their program, and that students will like it better
Yeah.
because you're there, because the course is there. But I think actually you're very well qualified.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Barr. So, Dr. Barr, let me ask you this question. Let's leave Duke alone for a little while, and let's talk about things that are happening in America. Why do you think that we have this much contention among ethnic groups? Why is it that we don't see each other as humans, or even, I remember the first time I talked to you, like I wasn't afraid to talk to you. I was excited to talk to you. And, I'll write you and say, hey, Dr. Barr, do you want to go to lunch? Or, whatever, just to sit and talk with you and hear your insights and your wisdom. But why do you think it is as a society we don't see everybody that way? We don't, approach everybody that way.
So I wish I was wise enough to know that answer, because I don't. I think as you look around Duke, which is not very representative, you see people that are from all different backgrounds talking to each other.
Right.
And then you say, why can't this be just the way the world is more broadly? Why does it have to be just this enclave? And I don't know why that is. I guess, if I were just going to guess, I would say people, they have their group and they are mainly with their group, and they just find it hard to reach outside their group.
Yeah.
But I think times are changing.
Yeah.
I will say I do have, despite the fact we have ups and downs, I think people feel differently about it now than they felt about same issues maybe 50 years ago.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, unfortunately, I can remember 50 years ago,
Mhm.
fortunately or unfortunately. But I mean, it does seem to me that in my lifetime, people's attitudes have changed, which I think is hardly perfect, but I think it has been a step in the right direction. And of course, a lot of the legal separations that existed, segregation. I went to school when I was in elementary school. I was in a segregated school because the law was that school was segregated. You had no choice about it.
Right.
Nobody had any choice. So now that's all gone. So
Right.
that's good. And I'm glad it's all gone. And on the other hand, people remember that. I mean, there are a lot of people that are old enough to remember that. I mean, so it's not gone from people's memories, even though it might be gone from present day experience. So I don't know. What is your opinion?
One thing, I don't think segregation or integration was good for Black people. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the people that they saw and could aspire to look like them. Black teachers, Black doctors, Black lawyers, and I think this is true of the brown population as well, people that look like them. And then when you come to a university like Duke, and Duke can be anybody, Harvard, Yale, wherever you want to be, there's a sense that you don't belong. I've been at Duke 12 years, and I think from my very first day to this day, I wonder, do they believe I belong? Am I smart enough? Am I a contributor? And, when I look at my CV every once in a while, I look at it and I'm like, damn, I did all of that, so, but I'm still in the same place I was when I started. And, I think for the world, one, we have to be comfortable that if I approach Dr. Barr, he's not going to spit on me, or he's not going to call me the N-word, or he's not going to make me feel invisible. And so for Black people, it's hard to cross that path over into seeing equality with whites and other people, And then the second part of that, I think, is because no matter how much education you have as a Black person, and I think you probably have heard this, many of the Black students and brown students at Duke are often questioned, how did they get there? Are they a part of affirmative action or a quota, or did their family know somebody or something? Not that they were intelligent enough to be a Duke student with the other students. So I think, like you said, it's a hard question to answer, but I do think there are some historical things that have made it that way for us. I mean, like You know, I grew up as a little girl. I heard the N word so often. I used to think that was nothing wrong with the word because I'd heard it so often. No one challenged it. You know, grown men were called boy. You know, no one challenged it out of fear for survival. Not that you wanted to be called that, but you just accepted that that's what the person said, and you hope to get out of the space without getting hurt. And so now we're in 2020, the 21st century, and almost 4 weeks ago, some man died on the ground in handcuffs with a police officer on his knee. And that immediately becomes two things. One, a black and white issue, and then a law enforcement issue, right? And so when those things kind of marry together for all of us, everybody I've talked to that's now say they have hope. They have hope that this is going to bring about change. I'm not so sure I believe it. We've been here before. We've been here, you know. You slowly,
Well,
you see slow little changes, but nothing that has really been unique because we are still financially struggling. We don't have wealth. I would bet you're going to leave your family a legacy, not only the Coke name, but financial, your house and all that. We don't know that we have that.
so none of my children are named Coke, so they won't get that. It just seemed a little bit too archaic when we came to giving names to our children.
Yeah.
I think the reason I'm optimistic about it, despite all the things you say and despite all the things that you're saying that I know are true, is I think a part of what we're dealing with is people's memories. And the memories are real. And the pain of those memories are real. But they will vanish away with those people. And I'm hoping that a new generation will have some better memories. I mean, that's true for me too. And I think some things are susceptible to change. I think policing and the way policing is done is not satisfactory. People all up and down the line are unhappy with it.
Yeah.
I think it has not received very much publicity, but I think there are many, many white people who are unhappy with it, who would say we've had bad experiences too, and we thought, whatever happened in our case was extreme and unjustified, and in some cases brutal or whatever. I think I'm not sure what it will become, but I think it can be a lot better. I mean, you don't have to have people shooting people on basis of nothing, really.
Right.
I mean, that's what's been so horrifying about the recent events is that these are shootings that came out of no reason, really, none.
Right.
You could think of 1,000 ways that could have been handled without anybody shooting anybody. I mean, so I think that's achievable. I don't think that solves everything, but I think if that is achieved, that'll be a big step in the right direction.
Absolutely. So as a PhD doctor, a lauded researcher, and all of those things, do you see yourself, and I don't even know if this is the right word, having white privilege or having advantages that your Black and brown colleagues, students don't have?
Well, it's hard to put yourself into somebody else's shoes and look at yourself in a way that they would look at you. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me to look at them and know really what their life is like. I don't see myself that way. No, I don't. But if somebody else says, well, you do, then they have a good observation point too. Mm-hmm. I went to a meeting one time, it was a faculty meeting, and a person who was a Black faculty member stood up and he went through a list of things that he felt had happened that were racially discriminatory. And the fact was, every one of those things had happened to me. Mm-hmm. And I talked to other faculty and that it happened to them. And what he was telling us about were, different things, different sort of mechanisms within Duke at that time that were run by people that were rude. Right. But they were uniformly rude. I mean, so they were rude to him. They were rude to me too. Right. And so I could see how he attributed it to that, but I didn't really quite feel that way. Now, on the other hand, I'd say, especially as I've gotten older, people tend to want to be polite. And, sometimes I think they're saying to themselves, Oh, it's just going to be a lot of trouble if we get in an argument with him. Just let him have his way.
That's not the case at all, Dr. Barr. Not at all. No.
Anyway, but it is awfully hard to make that judgment. I mean, if other people say it's true, it probably is. They probably have a better platform on which to judge.
Oh, okay. We have 4 minutes. I'm giving you 4 minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Let me say this before I stop talking. Once the video is converted, I'm going to send you a link to it. You watch it. If you agree that it's good, we will upload it. If you do not, we can do it over or not do it at all. Okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I would like to just to say again, I think what we can do is what we can do individually. I mean, I would like to imagine that I could command some broad change in society, but I think that's way beyond me. What I can do, what I can control, is my relationship with other people, especially students, because I have a relationship to them, but also staff. I mean, which includes all the staff, the staff that are staff in the president's office and the staff who are housekeepers. And I can kind of have a good relation with every one of them. So that's what I'm going to try to do.
Well, that's wonderful, Dr. Barr, but I think you do it just by genuinely being you. You are very kind.
Thank you.
Man. And I don't think you have to work at that. I think that just naturally emulates from you. You are just gentle and generous and brilliant to add to that. So it's just a good mix. Your parents did a good job.
Yeah, so before my time, but I mean, I appreciate it. Thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Barr, thank you so much for doing this. And I hope we can do this again. Maybe once you are over your summer session, we'll have another chat. But thank you so much. And again, if you hear anybody who's willing to let me teach my class, please let them know, because like I said, I've been willing to do it for free just so I can get the experience, and then they can see the value of it. And that hasn't even worked at all. So if you hear anybody who's willing, please let me know.
I'll do it. And thank you for having these interviews. It's been a pleasure.
Have you watched any of the other ones?
I've watched fragments. I've been so busy, I haven't watched any of them end to end, but I have watched little sections. They're interesting.
They really are. And I learned something almost through every one of them I've done. So yeah, I've been very happy about that.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Stay safe. And I hope to see your face again in person one day.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye, Dr. Barr.